Hey guys, my name is Jennifer and I am Genevieve Designs. Today I've got a new template for you. It's a very small template. It's kind of an add-on to my Wanderlust printable mini album templates. And it was actually originally included with the Wanderlust templates. When I was creating those templates, I had a bunch of different types of things that I wanted to do with that set of templates. But the more I kept adding to it, the bigger it got and the more out of control it got. So I had to edit some things down. So this is one of the things that I took out of that set of templates. And it's palettes. It's printable palettes that I had made. Let me show you one of the original ones that I had made. I had one for each size. Here's one right here. I have one for each size. So I had a large, a medium, and a small. So here, this has some watercolor paint on it on one side, and then on the other is water-soluble wax pastels, Neocolor 2s. So that was like one of the original ideas that I had to have a printable palette. So you could add your favorite water-soluble media to it, and then you could put it in your traveler's notebook and use it in your traveler's notebook. You could use it in your bullet journals. You could use it in like the DIY art journal that I just did yesterday. You know, that's where this idea came from for the Madicon class that I did in September. So these were kits for Madicon, and I did sell the extra kits that I had left over from Madicon, but there was only a handful of them. It's been much requested for more of those kits. Well, I can't do more of those kits, and the video I did for that, by the way, was yesterday. I will link that down below. But I can't do more kits like that on a regular basis. I had help purchasing supplies for that. Otherwise, I would not be able to do it because I don't have access to any kind of wholesale situation. I have to buy my stuff just like you guys do. So I can't do like purchasable physical kits. So I decided to make it a printable. So the new printable is the Printable Palettes, and each one of them has folders. So this is what I mean by folder. This is from the kit itself. So this is the small folder, right? So there's a small, a medium, and a large, and they're meant to fit inside the Wanderlust printable templates. So this is the Wanderlust size, right? This is the large, but this is the large palette and folder. It is smaller than the printable template. And the reason for that is I want you to be able to put these little palettes in pockets, add them in under one of your elastics, stuff like that, so they don't get in the way of anything. So there is the medium and there's the small. So large, medium, small. This was the Madicon kit. But I did want to show you it's exactly the same as the small printable template that you're going to get. They're just going to be blank. So let me show you really quick what you're going to get with this set of templates. Okay, so there'll be 4 PDFs. One PDF just has this title sheet. It says all sizes Wanderlust Printable Palettes and Folders. So one PDF, just in case you wanted to make a book. Like I've already put mine in my workbook, so that's like the title page. So what I did, you could do it 2 ways, and since I added this later, these are removable, so I can move them around if I want to. But what I put it in my book is I put it at the very end after the small printable templates. So I've got this page in as like a title page to the rest, right? So you get one PDF that has this page in it, and then you get another PDF that has all the small templates. So you get a small title page, and then this is the printable palette. Excuse my candle there. I don't want to catch anything on fire. So this is a printable palette. This can be a little booklet of 2 palettes, or it could be 4 separate palettes. It could also be used as a swatch page, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. And then here is the printable folder. So that is all in one PDF, those 3 pages. And then in another PDF is the medium. So you get the medium title sheet. And then there's the medium palette. It could be one booklet palette, or it could be 2 separate palettes like we did here. This is like a single separate palette. This is my old one. This is my original. Where's the one I made yesterday? What did I do with it? Here it is. This is the one I made yesterday in the video. I'll link this one below. But it's just a little single palette. You could cut them up into separate little palettes. So you get the medium palette, and then this is the medium folder, right? So that's in another PDF, and then the last PDF, you get the large title sheets, and then you get the large palette. Again, could be one booklet, or it could be cut into two separate palettes. And then the folder itself is two separate pieces. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to put them all together in this video, so don't worry. So that it comes in one bundle. It's extremely reasonably priced. It's kind of like an add-on, like a bonus for your Wanderlust. You can't get them individually, but you get all of these pieces in that one little PDF. And I will list this down below. But I'm super excited about it, and I almost didn't make the video today because I got too carried away with trying different things and different ways of using the palettes and stuff. But anyway, and I had to stop myself. I was like, no, you need to make a video. So, oh, here, I wanted to show you my workbook. There's the all sizes title sheet, and then I did a large. And then on the back side of the large title sheet, I did a vellum sheet. I printed the palette off in vellum. And then I have, like, this is actually on the watercolor paper. So I have other palettes that I've printed off already onto different types of paper and whatnot. And then I also have a traceable one because we're going to make some blocks, like watercolor blocks, using those. And then I also laminated the folder parts, but I'm not sure if I'll need that. And I used vellum, and I'm not sure if I like that or not. I wanted to be able to see what's inside of there, but I'm not sure on the folder that that's something I'm going to need. And then the medium, there's the medium title sheet, and then there's the medium palette, and then here's some already made palettes and things in there. Whoops. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then there's the folder. And then there's the small. And again, on the back, there's small palettes. Oh, this is funny. I'll have to tell y'all about that. That didn't work out. But anyway, that's why my table's a little bit of a mess, because of that palette. But I've got a traceable one there. And then there's the folder. And then here's where my templates start all over again. So I did add it to my workbook. My workbook is getting really chunky. So I wanted to show you some different ways that I use them. Like, here is a palette that I made. These are the Neocolor 2s. These are my favorite colors right now. So I put them in here, and I will show you how I did that. There's several ways to do that, and then I put like a swatch on the back. There's several ways to make these little palettes, and then I put in like a little plastic sleeve in the middle to house like little bits that I've created, or you can use this as a palette, the plastic sheet part as a palette. We'll get into that in just a minute. But I did want to tell you that these were actually inspired by Jenny Belly, and in yesterday's video, which I have linked down below, I linked her video. I had to go find it because it's been so long, and it was from 2012, I believe, where she made these really awesome travel palettes. And that is where the idea came from. Way back when. That was the first time I ever seen that, and I thought it was brilliant because I couldn't find the first palette that I ever made, but I thought it was brilliant just because, you know, you want to add some color every now and again, and this is like the perfect way to do it. Just put your favorite water-soluble stuff in a little palette and tuck it in one of your pockets, and you're good to go. So this is my large Wanderlust. We made this one. I made a whole video series on this, and I did have like a little notebook stuck in this little pocket here. Not a notebook, but like a little note, traveler's notebook, like a small traveler's notebook insert. So I switched it out for that, and I'm going to be using it when I create things like this, when I paint, like you guys saw me paint this, and you saw me paint that. So I'm going to be using those types of things in my traveler's notebook. So there's one, and then I also have another one that I've kept with me for a very long time. This is my bullet journal, and in the very front of my bullet journal I have this little pocket here, and in this pocket, this is the medium size. I have a medium size travel palette. So this has watercolors. These are, what are these? I think these are Cotman, Winsor and Newton Cotman, and then these are the Daniel Smith, the Primatech that I love so much, and then some extra little things. So I have this tucked in here, and I use it all the time. So if I go downstairs to my dining room table, or if I go to my kitchen table, or if I'm watching TV and I want to practice some watercoloring, you know, I usually grab one of those travel palettes. So that's just using just the palettes in something, in whatever you're using. If you're using a bullet journal, traverse notebook, art journal, any of that, that's just using the palette. But I included these little folders because sometimes you just want to take a few like little odds and end watercolor paper, and you just want to stick it in there, and you just want to go take it on the go and, you know, draw and watercolor or whatever you want to do. So sometimes you just need some place to house everything. Like this one's really cool. I'll talk about this one in a minute. But that's one of the small ones. And then here's the medium. So it's just a really good size. So the palette goes on one side, and then this is like a watercolor block. It's not really a block per se, it's more like a notepad of watercolor paper. And then here is the large. Again, the palette goes here, and then the watercolor paper or the Bristol paper or the mixed media paper or whatever it is that you want to use goes on that side. So you can just throw this in your purse, oops, or in your bag and take it with you. So before I show you how to put the folders together, I want to talk about the palettes. So I've printed my palettes off already, and I wanted to show you that the printers, all printers are different. They are completely different. Some printers may not want to take these heavyweight papers. Now my printer is really finicky sometimes. Like, I never have any trouble with this paper. This is Fabriano Studio Watercolor Hot Press 140 pound watercolor paper. And I think the reason my printer doesn't have any problem with this paper is because it's smooth. It's still thick like the other types of watercolor paper, but it's really smooth, and my printer has no problem printing on this paper. As a matter of fact, this is printed on that paper. So this is, do I have anything on the back? No. So this is the small palette printed on this type of paper. So then I did a little experiment. This is a different type of watercolor paper, and I bet you're not going to be able to tell at all that there's texture. You might be able, oh yeah, you can see it. So this is the smooth, and this is the hot press, and this is cold press, and you see the different texture in it. Well, this one is, I picked this up thinking that this might work better because I was putting this through my printer, this Canson watercolor paper. I'll have links to the Amazon list below that shows all these different things if you want to check them out. But so I picked this up at Hobby Lobby thinking that, hey, that might work. It is watercolor paper. It's 140 pound. It is cold press, and it's textured. Well, my printer, it printed this off just fine, right? It didn't like it, but it took it through just fine. But then I decided I wanted to print something on the back side of this. And so therefore what I mean was it looks like this. So there's the palette on one side, and then there is the image that I printed on the back side, right? So the second go round, the second time I sent it through my printer, it took maybe 3 or 4 times. My printer was not happy. It was ticked off at me because it did not want to take that through one more time. I don't know why. So you're just going to have to experiment with your printers, but it will go through. And if not, you can always load these up on a USB and ask your local office supply store or whatever if they could print that on watercolor paper for you. So I just wanted to point that out, but I have the best luck with the smoother paper. So I think that was the only one that I printed on the back side. I'm not going to cut this one up, but it's fun to do that if you didn't want to, if you didn't want anything on the back, you know, you didn't want to watercolor yourself on the back, just to print an image. So I'm going to set this one aside. I'm going to end up putting it in my workbook. So here's the small printed on the hot press watercolor paper. There's the medium, and then there is the large. There's nothing on the back of any of these. So what I thought I would do is, I thought I would make, let's see, what do I want to do? I thought I would make a palette a new palette for this watercolor, this art, DIY art journal set, because what I've been doing lately is I've been using those Primatech watercolors, but then I've also been loving using these 3 colors of Caran D'Ache. Oh, that reminds me. I have the entire set of the water-soluble wax pastel Caran D'Ache. I don't know, they don't like to be called crayons. I asked them, they don't like to be called crayons, but they are, that's what they are really. But I picked this up the other day at my art supply store. I'm going to give this little set of these Caran D'Ache wax pastel watercolor, water-soluble Neocolor 2. It's a set of 10. It's just like the standard colors, but I'm going to give this away to one of you guys. So all you have to do is make sure you're a subscriber and then leave me a comment below and tell me if you're enjoying all of the watercolor artsy fartsy stuff that we've been doing. So just leave me a comment and I will pick a winner for this. I'll have all that information down below. I don't know a date exactly, but I will pick a winner for someone to win this little set of 10 Caran D'Ache water-soluble Neocolor 2s. So I thought I would make a palette with these combined with these as well. So I thought I would do that, and I think I'll do that in the small. So what I'm gonna do, I think, I'm actually gonna go ahead and, let's see, I'm gonna trim this one out. I think maybe we'll start with this. I'll start with the small. So I'm gonna trim it out and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got them both trimmed out, and I think I'm just going to work on one. So I'm going to put this one in my workbook, but I am going to go ahead and score it. This is a EK Tools scoreboard. I'm going to go ahead and score it down there, and I'm going to flip it over and score it again. Because I want it to close like this. So what I'm going to do before I add any paint to the other side is I am going to add something to the back side of this. And I think what I'm going to do is I kind of want to just put a color on it, I think. I don't know what I want to do. I think I'm going to add some of this. This color here is Flesh Color from the Wax Pastels. I'm just going to add some color to the middle with this. I'm going to add some to the middle with that. And then I'm going to get, I think I'm going to use my mini mister. This is a Ranger mini mister, and this is a Nuvo water brush. First I'm just going to spray, whoops, spray where I just colored on there, and then I'm going to move that color around. Okay, I'm going to do this side real quick. You don't need to use a water brush. You could use an actual paintbrush and just water, and that's fine too. This is just convenient. It's good for travel. Okay, so then I'm going to take my already made travel palette here, and I'm going to add purple to the edges, just like my, have I even showed you that travel palette yet? I don't know if I've showed you that yet. So I'm just going to add some to the edges like this. Just so it's not plain. I'm just doing this really, really fast because for video's sake. But take your time. You can make yourself a pretty picture. Do whatever you want. I'm just doing this really fast for this video. And if you guys do make some pretty pictures with yours, put them on my Facebook group. I would love to see them. Or tag me in them if you make a video. Or tag me in them, you know, hashtag me on Instagram or Pinterest so that I can see them. All of those links are down below if you want to check those out. Okay. I'm going to dry it real quick and then I'll be back. Alright, I think it's pretty good and dry. So now what I want to do is, with my original palette that I made for the art journal class, the DIY art journal class, I didn't do anything to the back, and it has held up just fine. In case you're wondering, I have added tons of paint to this. I have used it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It has held up just fine. But in like the last video that I did, where I showed you how to put it all together, I did put some multi-matte medium on the back of it, just to give it a little bit of reinforcement. Not reinforcement, but like maybe to help it last longer, just to give it more longevity, I guess is the best way to put it. And you can also use that same matte medium to do a mixing area, which I did down here. I just put it down here at the bottom and let it dry, and it's now a nice little mixing area. So if you're just using like just a one little part of the palette, that is a good idea. So now I'm going to take, this is multi-medium matte, and I'm going to find something to put underneath it. I don't want to get that everywhere. And I am going to add it to the back here to seal it, and again to give it some longevity. This is just a silicone brush, but you can use a regular brush. You could use an old gift card or something like that. You don't have to use this. It's just easy for me because I forget to clean my brushes fast enough, and I leave them sit in the water, and I've ruined many brushes that way. So this is just fast, quick, and easy. This is Master's Touch brand. I tried to find them. You need to be careful not to get it on the back side. But I tried to find them in Amazon, and I couldn't find this exact brush. So this one I got at Hobby Lobby. So if you want to check it out, I'll look again to see if I can find it. But it's just a silicone end versus bristles. Okay, I'm going to set that aside to dry and see how all that's on there. I can even wipe this back onto my jar, right? And it's darn near clean. Where's paper towel? So then I'm going to wipe the rest of it off on a paper towel, and it's good to go for next time. Alright, I think I got it pretty much good and dry. I think we're good. So now what I want to do is, I think I'm going to add something in the middle. A separator or a palette of sorts. This is something new I've been doing. This is a kind of like a storage organization thing. And it's basically just Velcro plastic pouches that have gussets in it that are meant for binders. So what I started doing is, I've got a lot of leftover pieces of like this is my Floral Whimsy papers. I've got some empty ones, some coffee stained paper, and you should never throw away any coffee stained paper, so I've got a folder for that. Old book pages, and then I've also got a folder for these transparency type materials. So I've got acetate, leftover pieces of acetate. I've got vellum in here. Oh, I've even got some like Tyvek. I just threw that in here because it's like different. I've got some sheet protectors. I've got, I should have, if I print something onto vellum or acetate, I've got those in there if they're left over. I've got some glassine paper. What else do I got? Seems like I got some more stuff in here that I'm just not seeing at the moment. just little bits. Like even when I cut off little bits of like page protectors that are like little pockets, you know, even little things like that. I've just been throwing them in here because sometimes you just need a little small piece of something. So I think I'm going to use one of these pieces of acetate that I have left over from other projects. Is that a piece of acetate? No, is this one? That's not big enough. That's not big enough. So I think I'll just grab this piece. But anyway, it's just a nice little place to keep everything all together so I could go and grab what I need. And I just thought I'd share that with you because I really have been enjoying using that. Okay, so before we add anything to this, I want to add one of these in there. So I think what I'm going to do is, it's kind of like a divider, but it can also be used for mixing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some washi tape. These are some washi tapes that I just have sitting here because they're from collections we're getting ready to use. So this is like from Santa Baby, so it's a pink and white stripe. So I think I'm going to use that. But I'm just, or you could use masking tape if that's all you have. So I'm just going to tear off a piece here and I'm going to lay it on the acetate first. Again, I will have links to all the, I will have a link to the Amazon list with all of the products that I'm using because sometimes they go by so fast when I show them on a video and you guys are like, wait a minute, what was that? So I just kind of bended that washi tape in half because I'm going to lay this piece of acetate right next to that score in the middle. And so the washi tape is going to be attached to this side of the palette, like that. And then I'm going to grab my bone folder and I'm going to burnish that down really good. You'd be surprised at how well it holds up in this situation. I'm going to grab another piece of washi tape and I'm just going to match it up to the other piece there, like that. Oops, I didn't go all the way, but that's okay. And we're going to burnish that down. And flip it back over, burnish. Flip it back over, burnish. And if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of glue on there if you felt the need. So before I go any further after that, I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half. And it doesn't look like I got too much on this side peeking through. But I am going to get my craft mat. This is a Score Pal craft mat and my craft knife and my glasses and my ruler. You could use scissors if you would prefer. This is, for me, is just like a cleaner cut. And this is a Scotch utility knife. And so I'm just going to slice off any of the extra that's there on the bottom. This way you didn't have to measure anything. So same on the side here. Just like that. So then I'm going to stick this back in my storage folder. So I'll have that for another time when I am doing something. I need something smaller, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright. So now we have this cool divider in here that can also be used as a mixing palette, right? It also keeps your different things separated from each other. So if you've got wax pastels on one side and watercolors on the other, they don't intermingle and get the colors messed up. Or even if it's all watercolor, they don't get messed up if they're wet. They don't get stuck together. So I think I'm going to start with the wax pastels first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write, I'm only going to add these 3 for now, but I'm going to write that these are Neocolor 2s on here. And I'm going to write which color they are. So flesh, and then this one is turquoise blue. And this one is olive. Okay, so like I said before, this was completely inspired by Jenny Belly. I'll link her video below. Let me scoot y'all in. I will link her video below if you want to go check her out. These palettes were originally I originally saw them on her channel. So this is one of the ways she shows to do it, where you just take the Wax Pastel Neocolor 2, and you just color like that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Right? So then I've got all, these are the 3 colors I've been using along with my Primatech, which we'll add those onto the side. And then you could use them straight from there. So let's see, what is that? Well, this is cardstock, but you just take your water brush and you get it wet and then you watercolor with it, right? Easy, right? No big deal. So you could do that, or if you want to do it like I did this palette, let me just go ahead and get it out and show you, where I added the colors, but you can see that it's not just colored on there. Can you see that? Well, I'm not sure if you should or shouldn't do this, so do this at your own risk, but let me show you what I did. I got me one of these wax seal contraptions that has like a spoon. So what I did was I took, since I happen to have a candle here, I could use a lighter. I kind of set it there and let it warm up, but where's my craft knife again? So I'm going to use this paper again. So what I did was I took my craft knife, and how did I do that? Did I warm this up or did I just chop off a piece? It's so soft. I just chopped off a piece, just a little, just like that, right? It's just a little chunk, not too much. I basically just took the tip off of that, right? And then I put it in this little spoon thingy. Oh, you know what I forgot to grab? I forgot to grab a stick. Uh-oh. I guess I'm going to have to use the back of a paintbrush. Shoot. Okay, well, I'll just have to use something else. I'll just grab a paintbrush here. So anyway, so then you just kind of let it melt. And it doesn't take very long. I wouldn't suggest like breathing in any fumes or anything. But again, I don't know if this hurts it at all or not. But it sure has worked, if you know what I mean. I've been using this other palette, this one, quite a lot. I love it. And look how compact it is versus, I mean, this is compact too. You know, taking a little tin of crayons, but that doesn't really fit in your traveler's notebook. So let me see how we're doing here. Okay. Trying to figure out how I got it on there. Looks like I had something on the other side. Right, so then once it's soft, you just kind of scoop it on there. Well, clearly I used a lot more with this palette, because if you look, like there's that same color, and I'm pretty sure, what did I use to get that out with? That is going to drive me nuts. It wasn't the back of a brush. What did I use? What did I use? Maybe it was just a palette knife, but I feel like the palette knife could melt. But let's try it again. So let me go on the back side here. Oh, y'all can't even see what I'm doing. Ha 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 ha. All right, let me try it again. So I'm just going to slice off a bit with my craft knife. Whoa, that's a lot. But I'm going to add that in there. First time I tried it, I did like little shavings, but it turns out it doesn't really matter. But letting this little thingy heat up does make it go faster, I guess. So, You see how it's all mushy now? Yeah, that works better than the back of the end of a paintbrush. So I'm just going to let that get a little bit softer, and it like literally only takes a little bit of time. And then you just kind of smoosh it on there, right? You do end up wasting just a little bit. I got a wet baby wipe right here. Ow! Gotta be careful because that's hot. I thought I had more layers than one of that baby wipe. So that's a very, very hot little metal piece there. So just be careful of that. And then I'm gonna wipe my blade off because I don't want to contaminate. So there's that color, and then let's do the turquoisey color. I should probably be, ooh. See how that kind of chunked out? I must have broke it somewhere along the line. Come on. You see how it took a big chunk out of from the paper? I must have dropped it or broke it somewhere, but I'm going to go ahead and add these in there. Get all those little pieces. Whoa. Now I've got little pieces on my wax candle, my candle. Where's my, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that off. So again, I wouldn't like have your nose over top of this or anything. So do this at your own risk. I just thought it'd be fun to show you what I did. It's kind of like when you melt crayons to make like that artwork, you know, or to make new crayons. It's kind of the same idea. But again, you may want to do your research if you have any sort of special allergies or anything. So I thought it would be fun to show you. So you just want to wipe that out. See, when you got multiple layers, it's not as bad. Like that. It's already dry onto the palette, so now I can flip this over, and now those are protected and I don't have to worry. So now let me show you adding the watercolors. So I'm using tubed watercolor, and these are the Daniel Smith. So I'm going to go ahead and put my colors in the order. Let's put them in the order of the box. That way I can know easily. And then I added this one. This is a Hansa Yellow, and it's from this pack. So this one is the Essentials pack. What else do we got in here? All kinds of good stuff. But I'm just going to show you these really quick. Alright, before I add that, I'm going to write on here that these are Daniel Smith. And this is the Prima Tech set. Okay, so I'm just going to start at the top, and all I'm going to do, whoops, is open it up, and I'm going to put a little bit out on here, not too much. I'm almost out of this one. And I'm just kind of dotting it on there. But again, this doesn't crack off either. I don't know if it's because these are like more professional grade paints, or, I mean, I can't actually say that that matters because I've used several different types of paints on these little palettes, several different types of watercolors, different grades, whether it be professional or student, and I've never had any one of them crack off. So just so you know. So there's the green. So these are cool. These are cool watercolors because they're made out of gemstones. I think I'm becoming a broken record when it comes to these when it comes to these watercolors. I like them so much, and I think it's because I like gemstones. So there is, this one is Amethyst. I guess I could have told you all the colors. This one is Amethyst Genuine. And this last one, the green one, is called Jadeite Genuine. And then this is Rhodonite Genuine. So they're all gemstones. This one is Mayan Blue Genuine. Yeah. Whoa! So this one is the Hematite Genuine. So again, you guys, I am not a professional watercolor artist. I do it for fun. I play with watercolor. And if you wanted to really learn, this one is called Payamite Genuine. If you really wanted to learn how to watercolor, then I will link the Frugal Crafter. She actually has a playlist below that, or below. She also has a playlist. She actually has a playlist. Come on, Jen, use words. She actually has a playlist with beginning watercolor videos. So this one is the only one that's not part of that set. This is the Hansa Yellow Light. And I'm going to add this on here. And that's it. So, oh, I better write that on there, that this one is a Hansa Yellow Light. So now all I need to do is let that dry. I mean, you could use it right now. Like, you could literally take your water brush if you want to, and you could use it right now. See, it's already starting to like set up. Get some water down in there. My favorite purple. The Hematite. Yeah, it sets up pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie. So like for the mixing palette, so let's say you wanted to mix the purple with some of the, oh, well that's silly. I was meant to do purple. I meant to do pink and blue. But this gives you a different color purple. This is just one of my scraps. Where I cut the watercolor paper down to run through my printer. I'm not sure I even said anything about that. But see how it made just a different shade of purple? Again, let's try what I was going to do. Take a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the pink, and then that is, again, another shade of purple. So that's really convenient to have that there. And it'll dry on there just like that, and then you can come back and pick it up with your brush and use that as well. So it's really never wasted. It's just a fun little thing to do. Let me show you. I don't want to flip that page because I want it to dry. I wanted to show you. Did I already show you? Yeah, I showed you. If you use the wax pastels, for example, you do have to get some water flowing, but you use them just the way you would if you were taking it straight from the stick. So it works just the same. Okay. So you can do this exact thing with all three sizes of palettes. Every single size, you can do the same thing. You pick whatever you want. Like, these are the Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors. I've got this on another palette. I'm not sure if these were a set. They didn't come in this little bag, but they seem like they might have come into a set, but I don't remember. I've had them for so long. But I've got a palette, several palettes with these on there, just because I like to play with color, you know. Okay, so I also wanted to show you that, oh, this. This was a good idea, but it did not work. This is, this is the small palette. I printed it onto watercolor paper, and this is why I've got a mess on my table. But these are the Jane Davenport Mermaid markers. And I thought, you know, that if you squirted some of that liquid out onto the palette and let it dry, that it would be a good palette. No, I mean, it works, barely, but it took forever to dry, and it was a hot mess, and it was just very wasteful. So don't do that. Don't use liquid watercolors. I don't think those are gonna work. I mean, they might. You give it a whirl, and if they do, you let me know. But I wanted to show you that, for example, like for this palette, I could make like a swatch. Like this is on a 140-pound cardstock. I printed onto some of my coffee dyed paper because I have whole traveler's notebooks that strictly just have coffee dyed paper in it. And so these are like Prima Pastel Dreams. These are Prima Bright Palette. And then this is a continuation of the Bright Palette. So this is what it looks like on coffee dyed paper, right? So I did like a little swatch page. So you can even make your folder for just I'll hold all the swatch pages for your palettes if you wanted to. So you could print off on each one of the types of papers that you use, like coffee dyed, regular copy paper, like this is just regular copy paper, cardstock, any of those different types of paper that you use or that your journal is made out of. You print you some swatch pages and take your favorite palette and swatch it out just so you can see what the colors look like, because they do look different. I guess I could show you. I'll show you right here. We'll swatch these colors out right here. I'll put them on here and I'll put them on here just to show you the difference. Okay. So I'm just going to have them side by side here, even though it's not the same palette. We're just going to do it side by side. So we're going to start with this pink color. Let's see, how many do we have? 7. So let's start here. So I'm just going to go on here and I'm just going to paint a swatch. Right? So same thing. I'm going to go up here and, oh, I need some water. Go up here and paint a swatch. So this is on cardstock, right? It's not watercolor paper, it's just on cardstock. So there's the pink color, and you can see, I mean, this is not dry yet, but you can see how different it looks on different paper. So then let's go to the green. Let's go straight to the cardstock, right? And then I'm going to go over here to the coffee dyed paper. Let's get a little more. Right? And then you can also see how much it goes through, how much it bleeds through. So you can just do like little testers. So here's the purple. Oops, I did not mean to put that much water on there. Sometimes these water brushes are hard to control when it comes to the water. Swatch it on the coffee dyed paper. Let's add a little bit more pigment. Right? And these lids don't like to stay on either. Okay. And then here's the blue. And there it is on the coffee dyed paper, right? Looks really pretty on both situations. Both situations. On both papers. There's the hematite. And then we'll do, oops, not the yellow. We are going to do the yellow, but I want to go in order here. And then this is the, what is this one called? Pionite. So that's kind of a burgundy brownish kind of color. And then I'm going to go down here. And then let's do the yellow. You can see how these paints are already starting to set up. So it's not going to take a very long time for them to dry in the palette. Right? So the same colors swatched out on different, what do they call that? Substrates, different types of paper. They just look similar but different. Do you see what I'm saying? So now you know exactly what this palette's going to look like on coffee dyed paper. So it's just a really good idea. If like I have several traveler's notebooks that are just coffee dyed paper. So now I can make a swatch of every one of my palettes on the coffee dyed paper and I'll know exactly what it looks like. So if I want to mix and match them, I'll know what the color is going to end up looking like on this paper. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, I think I'm making sense. Let's see. What do we have over here? I just got a bunch of loose stuff. Here's another idea for the palettes. This is a large one. And it was 2, and I cut it in half to make 2 separate palettes. But what I did for this one, in order to attach this shield on it, so you can just like put a paper clip and stick it inside your traveler's notebook or what have you, I printed off, this is one of my floral whimsies, I printed it onto like regular copy paper, and I attached it to the back of the palette with that same multi-matte medium. You can kind of see, but not really. And then a little bit of the hangover, I attached the acetate to the little bit of a hangover, and then I just covered the part right there up with another strip of the paper. And so now I've got a mixing area and a protective covering for just a loose, you know, standalone palette, just like that. So there's another idea for a palette. And then of course the idea of having a little pouch in between. You can use that as a mixing area and a little pouch for your different little drawings that you did. This is totally Jenny Belly inspired from her video. I was watching it and I was like, I want to draw a little girl. So I painted that really quick with this palette right here. Anyway, it was just really fun. So that's definitely Jenny Belly inspired. So check out her video. She really did a good job. She did a much better job at explaining it than I did. So I wonder if you can see the sparkly on the coffee dyed paper. I wonder if the camera's going to pick it up. Can you see it? Can you see a little bit of the granulated sparkliness? I hope you can. Anyways, okay. Moving on, let me show you how to put these folders together. Okay, so what I did is, you can do it a couple different ways. You can print it straight onto pattern paper, which I did here. I printed it onto pattern paper. This is for the Primrose. And I backed the palette with a piece of pattern paper. So this is a perfect example of me just scribbling the Neocolor 2s on there. This is a perfect example of that. So I printed off the palette and then I covered it with the Primrose paper. So just, you know, just so it matches. So then I could, when got my Traveler's Notebook, Wanderlust Primrose Traveler's Notebook in the medium personal size, when I got it out, I can do one of two things. I can stick it in a pocket, like one of these little side pockets, just like that, so it's good to go. Or I can put it underneath one of the elastics, just like that. Because the watercolor paper is really stout, you're not going to rip through that, but you can do that. You can put it in your Traveler's Notebook, or you can leave it in your folder. Either way, or both, you can house all your palettes in your folder and, you know, just take them out when you want them. I want that watercolor palette, or I want that Neocolor 2 palette, whichever, you know, however you want to do it. There's just so many options. But so anyway, so this one was printed directly onto patterned paper. This pattern paper is double-sided. Is it? Oh, I might be wrong on that. This one is not double-sided. This pattern paper is not double-sided. It's very thin paper, this Primrose, and I did back it. I did like glue 2 pieces together. But if you didn't want to do that, you don't have to. So there is one example of printing it directly onto patterned paper. And then here's an example of printing it onto a watercolor paper. I have an example of that. So I printed the small out onto watercolor paper like this, and then I painted it like this, just like I did in the last video that I have linked below, the travel art journal video, and colored the inside. I covered the entire thing front and back with the multi-matte media just because it's watercolor, and so I made my folder out of watercolor paper, so you can do that as well. Oops. See, there's another example of a palette. This one has all Daniel Smith. Oh, this was an experiment. I'll let y'all know how that one turns out. That is a metallic watercolor. We'll have to come back to that. Oh, and this is also an Inktense block. This is a black Inktense from Derwent. And once it gets wet and dries, it's permanent. So that's the only drawback. Just this one. I just wanted to do an experiment. So next time I do a watercolor thingy, we'll talk more about how that worked out. Obviously that one color is still a little wet and it's stuck to the acetate, but this palette is made just the way that we made this one with the color on the back, except I took a little bit more time and made it, you know, a little bit more pretty. And then here is an example of printing it out onto 140-pound cardstock, and I printed my floral whimsy, one of my floral whimsies out on it first, and then I flipped it over and printed one of my shades of color. Let me show you both of those. This is what my floral whimsy looks like. It's a bundle of all 50 some odd pages in there, and then this is what the shades of color look like. Since I've scooched in, it's hard to see, but there are 27 different colors in this one. So I just used one of the browns to back that. I'll have all that linked below if you want to check it out. And then even on the palette, this was used the rougher watercolor paper. This is the Winsor & Newton, I didn't even put anything in the middle, Cotman watercolors. But I printed the floral whimsy on the back side of that, and then I sealed the back side of that. So this palette is good and sturdy. I mean, I'm not finished with it yet because I need to put something in the middle. But there's an example of the different ways that you can print these out. And I don't know why, but I feel like they need a paper clip to keep them closed. But anywho's, so I'm going to show you. I showed you how to make this one. Oh, this is the floral whimsy on one side, and then I printed shades of color. This is the darkest purple on the other. I showed you how to do this one in the last video. So I think what I'll do is I'll cut this one out, score it up, and then we'll put it together. Does that make sense? So we'll do this one last. I'll cut this one out when I'm cutting other pieces. And then here's the medium. Also, again, my floral whimsy, and then on the back, this is another one of my shades of color. I don't remember which one that is. So I just flipped it over. This is 140-pound white cardstock. And then the large one, again, floral whimsy. I printed both sheets because the pockets are on a separate sheet. And then on the back side, I didn't print anything. So let's start with the large. Let me move my palette out of the way so I don't get anything in it. This is a Fiskars Precision Heavy Duty Paper Trimmer. So I'm just going to cut this out all the way around. And then I'm going to cut these two pockets out, and I will be right back. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and cut all of them out, and then we'll put them together. Okay, so I've got all the pieces cut out. So these are the large pieces, these are the medium pieces, and then I've got the small folder cut out. So I have inked some of the edges, just really to knock off that white edge. But I didn't ink I wanted to ink the inside of this since I left it white. So again, I'm using what's on my table here. This is the Walnut Stain Distress Oxide, Tim Holtz and Ranger. And where's that plastic bag? I like doing that. Let's go on this side. So I'm just going to take it and just add some color this way. This is a Ranger blending tool. They make round ones too, which are good. I just happen to have a lot of these. I actually prefer this one. But it's one of those things, if I would just use the round ones all the time, I would get used to it. But I'm not sure if they're still making these or not. These square ones. Somebody's going to have to, not square, these rectangle ones. Somebody's going to have to let me know. Okay, I just wanted to take down the white just a little bit on there. No big deal. So now what I'm going to do is I've got two pockets here, and I'm going to take some, this is 1/4 inch double-sided tape. This is a scrapbook.com brand. And I'm going to add it to these two tabs. Oh, did I tell you? I didn't tell you. I've already scored all of these score marks. After I cut them out, I scored all the different score marks, or all the different lines that are left on all 3 folders. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll do this whole thing together. Which way do I want this to be? Do I want that to be my front, or do I want that to be my front? So with this one pocket, this is the flat pocket. This is the side the palette stays in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to burnish. Oops, I just ripped that paper. I'm going to burnish that tape down like that. And then I'm going to remove the backing. And I'm going to match it up in this bottom corner here, just like that, and press it down. So there is the spot that holds the palette, and then this one is more of a box. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me go ahead and burnish that tape down. I'm going to get my art glitter glue out, and I'm going to remove the backing off of this. And you'll see there's this little tab here. That's just for extra reinforcement. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there, and I think I'm going to run a little bit of glue along that too. And this is the bottom, so I want the side to be attached to the bottom. So I'm going to tuck that little tab underneath that side flap, right? And then, well, I'm going to try to. There we go. It's easier said than done. There we go. And then I'm going to attach this bottom flap to that side flap, just in the corner there. And then I'm going to take something flat and press it on the underside. So now we've got a box shape. You see how it did that? So there's the inside. If the camera will focus on it, there we go. Whoop. There's the inside corner there, you can see. So now I'm gonna give this a little bit of a, maybe I'll put some more glue on there. And then the same thing, you just want to match up this bottom corner here. Match up the corner all the way down the sides. Adding that liquid glue gives you a second to wiggle it, and in the end it adds more strength to it. And I'm going to run my bone folder along each one of those. So now we have the pocket that either the watercolor block, which I'm going to show you how to make that here in just a second, goes in, or a watercolor journal, or just loose sheets of watercolor paper is fine too. And then there's where the palette goes, just like that. Whoops. Right? So I forgot to add the magnet. So on this one, I've got a magnet here and I got a magnet here, and that just keeps it closed. So I'll show you how to do that on the medium one real quick. So there's the large folder, or should I show you how to do it? Let me show you how to do it on the medium. So same thing, this goes together the exact same way. So I am going to, the only thing to do differently if you're going to add a magnet is we're going to add it to the back side of here. Let me add the tape first. So the first thing you want to do is add your tape to your pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's the same as the large. And I showed you how to add the magnets in my last video that I've got linked down below. I added it to the small one. It's really simple. It's not a hard thing to do. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish this tape on there. Okay. So I need to figure out which way I want it to be. My front. Let's do that. So this is going to go here, right? So I'm going to add a magnet right there. And I will have a link down below. These are from the Magnet Baron. These are 1/4 of an inch. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a dab of glue. They're really thin, so they don't get in the way too much. I'm just going to add a dab of glue right there. And then I'm going to attach the pocket. You could, if you wanted to, you could put some tape over top of that so it's more of a smooth slide in and out, but that's up to you. So again, I'm just going to match up the bottom and the side, the corner, all of that jazz. So now we've got that magnet there. And then, oops, I was going to say, where's my other piece? Same with this pocket. We're going to add this one and then add the magnet. I did discover that that was actually the easiest way. So I'm going to put some glue on that little tab. Tuck that tab in like that so it's attached to the side, and then attach the bottom to the side. Give it a little push. Right. And I'm going to add some glue to this. Add this to this side of the folder. Oops, I didn't get it. There we go. I didn't get it on there. Oh! See, adding that liquid glue does give you a minute. No joke. Okay. Since I'm trying to hurry, I didn't get it on there very well, but that's okay. Okay, so now that is attached on there. Pretty good. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip on the inside of this pocket. I'm going to add a little dot of glue on the back side of this little corner right here, because I know that that is where the magnet is going to go. So I'm going to match it up over there on the other side. And then I'm going to take it, hold it down like I'm up underneath the pocket with the magnet, and then I'm going to slowly close it and take the magnet to the other magnet. There we go. There we go. I was like, it wasn't catching. And then I'm just going to let that sit and dry. Maybe I'll squeeze it just a little bit. So now we've got the magnet attached. We just need to let the glue dry, right? So there's the medium. And then let's do the small. I've already got this one cut out, scored, folded, inked, all of that. Now let me put some tape on it. And then if you want to add a magnet, now's the time to do it. So I'm going to add a magnet here. You could use tape if you'd like, but these are a little bit smaller. These are like only 1/4 of an inch. They might even be a little bit bigger than that. I'm going to take the tape backing off of there, and I'll burnish that down. And then I'm going to take the tape backing. This one doesn't have the little flapperdoodle thingy there, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to fold it over, match it up. And just like that. These are so easy to make, and they're so much fun. You could use them for all kinds of things. Okay, so then the magnet, same thing. I'm going to put a dab of glue on that corner over there. Take my magnet, and I'm going to match it to where it needs to go. Attach it to my thingy. that closed and then let it grab on there. Yeah. So it just kind of sucks it down to it. I don't know if you can really see it that well, but it's so easy. Such a simple little thing to do. But it helps. It helps keep things nice and tidy, even though you don't have a magnet up here. You don't have to use a magnet. You could just use, you know, you don't have to use anything, really. You could just use some seam binding or what have you and wrap it around. Okay, so those, all three sizes there of the folders. And then one last thing I want to show you. I want to show you how to make the watercolor block thingy. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a block for the medium one, just because I feel like we made the small palette, we made all of the folders, but we haven't done anything really special with the medium. So I'm going to take the template that I made. I printed that onto 140-pound cardstock, and then this is a sheet of Canson watercolor paper, 140 pound. This is 12 by 18 size. I'm just going to get one sheet for now. So all I'm going to do is basically mark this. It's not very square, is it? So I'm just going to mark the bottom and the sides. Or should I... Let me see if this will even fit through my paper trimmer. So I'm going to take it, since I didn't give you measurements, I'm just going to use the palette to cut this out. Yeah, I could do that. So I just marked it, but I'm going to leave it on there for this moment. And I'm going to slice that off. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to lay it on top of the watercolor. But you know what I should do? I should mark it, because that's too much to handle. So I'm just going to lay it down here, and I'm going to mark it again. Let's just take it off of it. And I'm going to lay the template back down again, and then I'm just going to mark the height of it. And then I'm going to take it to my paper trimmer. Trim it one more time. Of course, you could... See, that's a little bit too small, so we could maybe use that in our small. You could measure these and just cut them out to size, but this is just as easy. So then I'm going to take it and I'm going to mark how wide it is, scoot it over back onto that line there, and I'm going to mark how wide it is. I'm running out of space. Scoot it over. And once again, mark how wide it is. And if you didn't have to travel with this, then you wouldn't have to do this step. Or you don't have to do this step at all. You can just guess. So I laid them both on top of each other. And I'm just going to cut them both at the same time. Here's one cut. Two cuts. Three cuts. Right? So then all you have to do is put them together. Get some clips. Put them together like that. Right? And then add you some glue. This is something I learned from the Frugal Crafter. She did it not too long ago, actually, just recently, again. But she did it with hot glue. The first time I saw it, she did it with hot glue. And again, I never have my hot glue gun out, so I just use whatever white glue that I have close by, and just give it a generous amount like that, and then let it dry. Now, where's my other medium one? I already have one already started here, as you can see. I was taking pictures for my Etsy listing. There we go. Oh, that's not on me. I thought there was something on the camera. I thought it was on the watercolor paper. I just took a scrap from when I printed off the folder. I just took a scrap of that and put it on the back side, just like that. So as a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add this to this, just like this. Oh, I can't tap it that away, can I? Well, use this back side of that. So I'm just going to add it to make one block, like that. And you'd be surprised at how sturdy it actually is. And then put a clip on it and let it dry. Okay, I just wanted to show you that I did take that extra piece that was left over from making this one and cut it down to fit this size. So this is the small little watercolor block, and I just added it to the back because I don't have a backing on this one. Plus, I just love that little flower. Isn't that cute? That is so cute. I used the Primatech, not this exact palette, but this exact paints to paint that. I painted that yesterday, actually. Was it yesterday? Yes, it was. So anyway, so I thank you guys. That is all I have. So be sure to check down in the description box below. There's a link to the new templates. They're super, super, super reasonably priced. Don't forget to check out Jenny Belly and her original palette, travel palette video. I hope you guys give this a try. It's a lot of fun. And I'd love to see what you guys do with this thought, with this concept. So please hashtag me on Facebook, hashtag me on YouTube, hashtag me on Instagram, hashtag me on Pinterest. All of those places, if you hashtag Genevieve Designs, I will see it. So, or even if you hashtag just Genevieve, I'd prefer you did Genevieve Designs, that way it'll pop up right away when I go to search for it. But I would love to see what you guys do with this, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Again, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below to get entered in to win this little set of Caran D'Ache Neocolor 2 wax pastels. Boy, it's been a long day, you guys. But anyway, don't forget to leave a comment, and all of that information will be down below when I'll make this drawing or do this drawing. I mean, you have to be a subscriber, and be sure to check out my Etsy shop. And if you haven't subscribed, here is a little circle right there. Hit that button and then hit that little bell icon to be notified when I upload a video. And then here's a link to my Etsy shop if you want to check out these new templates, these new palette and folders, printable palettes and folders. And there should be some other videos up here on the screen that you might enjoy watching. Oh, really quickly, it's almost dry. The paint's almost dry, and it's been maybe an hour. So I just wanted to let you know. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye.